Welcome to the takeoff demonstration lesson. In this lesson, we will transition from a low altitude hover into forward flight to complete the takeoff. You should already be familiar with the pickup lesson and be able to take the helicopter off the ground and into a hover and ground effect, IGE. Use the controls indicator to monitor the position of the flight controls. One of the critical elements of this lesson is the change in the position of the controls seen as we pick up airspeed and transition the helicopter from a hover into forward flight. Pay attention to the position of the cyclic and pedals in the hover and how they are operated as we accelerate forward. As always, it's important to make sure your control inputs are smooth and continuous, giving you plenty of time to balance the helicopter and keep it flying where you want it to and not where it wants to fly you. I will now bring the helicopter to a low altitude hover as demonstrated in the pickup lesson. Take a note of the positions of the flight controls. To begin the transition to forward flight, dip the nose down very slightly with a little forward stick. As the helicopter begins to move forward, the lower pitch angle will result in a slight descent, requiring a slight increase of the collective at the same time. Your goal is to minimize climb until you reach a safe climbing speed of at least 30 knots. You also want to keep the skids aligned with your ground track in case you end up on the ground. Use the pedals to keep the slip ball centered to minimize side slip and the right instrument column to maintain heading. The vibrations indicate that you are passing through effective translational lift, or ETL, which means you are flying fast enough to be ahead of your own turbulence and the rotors are becoming increasingly more efficient in the smooth air. This results in a tendency to balloon the helicopter upward, raising the nose up and yawing left. These tendencies need to be anticipated and compensated for by pushing the stick forward to prevent an early climb and decreasing left pedal input to maintain heading. Notice the position of the flight controls now as compared to the hover position we started with. The cyclic is much more forward and right, while the pedals are almost neutral. After reaching a safe climbing speed of at least 30 knots, you can proceed with a climb to your desired altitude at an airspeed that provides the best climb rate, which is generally between 60 to 80 knots. This concludes the takeoff demonstration lesson.